Gervonta Tank Davis shows up Ryan Garcia as they both head into separate fights. Gervonta shows something that looks pretty exceptional. Why, at the same time, Ryan Garcia shows the exact opposite and still makes me wonder whether or not that fight with Devin Haney is going to take place. Let's talk about that. And then in the comments section, let me get your thoughts in this video. What's good? What's good? What's good? It's your boy Fanon. We are going to be in the 135-pound division and the 140-pound division in this video as Gervonta Davis does a couple things, man. He releases some information about his weight ahead of this fight that is supposed to be with Frank Martin. And he also removes himself like Errol Spence Jr. did from social media. This is in direct contrast to what another young and up-and-coming fighter by the name of Ryan Garcia is doing ahead of his fight with Devin Haney. And Ryan should probably start trying to mimic Gervonta in this particular instance because Gervonta, in my opinion, is looking good with the decisions that he's making. And Ryan Garcia looks like he definitely needs to pull out of this fight with Devin Haney because, man, it's not going to go well for him the way that this training camp is going. But before I get into the details of it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It really makes a big difference to the channel. But let's get into this as Gervonta Davis posts some footage or a picture of him stepping on a scale. The scale has him weighing in at 38.4 pounds. That is 3.5 pounds off weight for the 135-pound limit for his fight with Frank Martin. And my understanding is that he's just now entering training camp, but honestly may not even be in training camp yet because what you have is, the fight hasn't been announced yet, and he's still going to have 8 weeks to train after that. He's nowhere near his weight cut. He said, look, man, he basically is saying, look, man, 3.5 pounds, I can get rid of that this week. I can get rid of that with a hot bath. I can get rid of that with a hot bath and a sauna and skipping a couple meals, run around the block. We run around the block a few times. I'll lose that weight and make weight right away, which means that he can have a really good camp. He also said in an interview, and I'm not sure whether this interview was recent or not, but it absolutely confirms something that I had said about Gervonta Davis that people kind of always scoffed at me for. This guy's really a 130 pounder. If he wants to fight at 130 pounds, he can do it. And he said, look, man, if I had a really, really good camp, I might be able to make 126 pounds. These guys are a lot bigger than me. Their frames are bigger than mine. They're longer. They're taller than me. All of the above. And that he's fighting at 135 because he chooses to fight at 135. But if he wanted to be there with Nick Ball fighting at 130 pounds or 126, what is Raymond Ford? I think Raymond Ford is 126. If he wanted to be down there with Raymond Ford and be down there with Nick Ball, he could do the same thing with those guys. Tells you what a really, really tremendous fighter this guy is. In my opinion, that's why I have got him as number 2 pound for pound in boxing, because he's so small, fighting up weight classes higher and fighting guys that are much bigger than him and still performing. The other thing that Gervonta Davis has done is he's taken the lead from Errol Spence Jr., who for a few weeks took down his Instagram page I'm not sure why Errol Spence Jr. took down his Instagram page, but he took it down for several weeks and had people wondering what was going on with him. Well, now Gervonta Davis has done the same thing. He's taken down his Instagram page and has people saying, okay, man, this guy must be really, really, really in focus for this fight that's coming up. And it's not going to be an easy fight for him, or it's a risky fight for him, because Frank Martin can really fight. Frank Martin is a very, very much a live underdog. Let me get a sip of my coffee. It's early in the morning. Early in the morning. It is a real risk for him, this fight with Frank Martin. Southpaw, very slick fighter with big power. He's got a very good trainer. They've sparred one another so they're familiar with one another to a certain extent. Definitely a risk, and anybody calling this fight as a tune-up is just being dishonest, or not dishonest. They're just not. They're being dismissive of Gervonta Davis or Frank Martin and the level of risk that this fight really has for Gervonta. Now, as far as Ryan Garcia in the Devin Haney fight, man, Devin Haney looks absolutely spectacular. The way that he's training, he seems like he's all business, 100% focused, dialed in, very mature young man. While you have Ryan Garcia still talking crazy, whether or not what he's saying is actual or not, spending a lot of time on social media, running his mouth a lot on social media. And then when you see him on training and in footage in the gym, his arms look chubby. He looks fleshy. His torso looks fleshy. Now, I wouldn't say that he looks fat, because who am I to say that? When the guy, you can still see that he has abs and all of that. But it looks like this dude is going to have a seriously tough weight cut for him to make the 140-pound limit. And just all around is doing the opposite of what Gervonta Davis is doing. And it's not good for him. There was some conversation that Ryan had in this very long live stream that he had that was on Twitter. I guess it was also shown on a few YouTube channels as well, or played live on some YouTube channels while he was having it, which I kind of think is funny, man. He kind of taken from his platform, but whatever. People do what they do. This very long conversation that he had where he said, man, that he wouldn't be, of course, he would want to get the fight moved back and want the fight to be in Vegas. So, he's even talking about wanting to have the fight moved back. Will it get moved back? Who knows? Probably not. But it really doesn't seem like this guy is really where he should be ahead of this fight. And to me, it reminds me of the fight with Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. a few years back, where, it was a big deal because Julio Cesar Chavez had a big name. A big name. Canelo had the bigger name, but there was a Mexican rivalry between the two of them. And you saw things going on with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., where he was like training in his underwear in his living room, saying all kind of funny stuff, man, talking about smoking WEED and all of the above, right? So this is what it looks like, man. It looks like the same thing. So to me, honestly, this is a tale of two fights. You got Frank Martin and you got Ryan Garcia. You got Frank Martin and Gervonta that look like they're really focused on doing some things together. You got Ryan, you got Devin, where Devin is focused. Devin Haney is really focused and looks like he's going to definitely be ready to do what he's got to do with Ryan. While Ryan is over here playing around, living in the outer reaches of our galaxy, right? And going to Jake Paul and his prime drink and all that nonsense. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out.